Hey guys, it's Alex Vanover back with Divine Design Crafts. Hope you guys are well. As you guys requested on Facebook, tonight I am going to be putting epoxy on phone grips with you guys. This is like a promotional one that I just got from some company, and this is a cuter one. A lot of these come in a really cute like pattern, so we're going to utilize this pattern. We're going to add vinyl on top, but to make it a little more durable, we're going to add some epoxy right over top that monogram to keep it nice and durable while it's on the back of your phone. I've tried these before with like just in a monogram on them with regular vinyl, but that just didn't happen to stick because our phones take such a beating when we're putting them in our purses and our pockets and stuff. Vinyl just simply doesn't really seem to be strong enough for that. So I want to show you guys this version and this version. But before we go any further, I'm going to jump on and share this video on a couple of different social media platforms so that some people can hang out with us. So while we're waiting, make sure you guys tell me where you're from. Let me know if you can hear me and see me okay. Last weekend when I went live with you guys, several of you were from like California and the West Coast. It was a little bit earlier for you. And a few from Texas. I remember that you. Just a second, you may hear me talk from my computer. Let's see. There we go. If you guys are just now joining me, let me know where you're from. I'm going to get to the glitter and epoxy in just a moment. So you can hear me. I'm going to get to the glitter and epoxy in just a moment. I'm going to get to that stuff in just a second. I just want to share this video on a couple social media platforms, and then we'll get started. So in the meantime, let me know where you're from, where you're joining us from tonight. You guys are quiet this evening. You're from Michigan. That's awesome. Very cool. Welcome. Are you guys having spring weather just yet? We are finally getting our little first burst of spring, and it's so nice. All right, that is all done. So we are all set with that. Thanks for your patience, guys. I'm just gonna move my laptop right out of our way so we have plenty of room. All right. So let me know if you guys are just now joining me, if you've ever worked with epoxy before. Oh, New Jersey, welcome. How cool. Thanks for joining me, Gina. So if you guys have ever worked with epoxy before, let me know that too on this video. I have mostly done epoxy with tumblers and acrylics. That's where most of my experience is, but I wanted to do this in case you guys didn't see this before. I got one of these little phone grip things from just some, I don't know, I got it in some bag probably from a company, and so it's just this generic design, and so I wanted to cover it in epoxy and glitter. And I cover it in epoxy when it dries. I'm going to add a monogram, but I don't want to have to do a second part of this video. I want you guys to be able to see the whole thing when I do it. So I also have this really cute, really pretty phone grip, and it's already got a cute pattern, so I'm not going to out. And then I'm going to epoxy over top the monogram and just leave the epoxy plain with no glitter in it. Or maybe we can add some glitter in it and just make it a little sparkly. You did your first coaster last night. That's awesome, but that's the first thing you've done. Well, welcome, Rachel. Thanks for joining me. This is a really great, really easy beginner epoxy project. I also highly recommend acrylic blanks, and I have some stuff on acrylic to be a fun little project to do for you just because it's so simple. It's a flat surface, so this is going to make it really easy to get started, kind of like your tiles. So, or your coasters. So that's awesome. Very good. So I'm also doing something a little bit different tonight. I'm going to be using Pro Marine epoxy. I've never used that before. I just got some in because I wanted to try it. I have traditionally always used Alumilite, and I've always gotten my Alumilite from Hobby Lobby or Amazon. And so I wanted to do something different and out of the box. I've heard some really good things about Pro Marine. I know a lot of people love it, but I have heard that it has a bit of a stronger smell. So if you're sensitive to epoxy or you're maybe a little more allergic to substances sometimes, you may try Pro-Marine with some caution, because I have heard that feedback, but I've also heard that it has a beautiful finish. So I'm excited to try that this evening. So as you can see, I'm starting by putting on gloves. I always, always, always wear gloves with epoxy. I have a science degree, so I'm passionate about making sure that you're really smart with your chemicals. And of course, even though epoxy is awesome, it is just that. It's a chemical. You mix two parts together and it becomes flat, kind of like a thick liquid kind of, and then when it hardens, of course, it becomes like hard plastic. So it's definitely a chemical, and you definitely want to be safe with your gloves. I bought a box of probably 100 gloves at Harbor Freight for like $8 or $9. So that's what I would recommend that you guys do. It's really simple, really easy, really good to have. And when I measure my epoxy, I'm going to be measuring in this medicine cup. I got like 100 medicine cups, I think, for $2 off of Amazon. So that's what I use to measure my epoxy in. And you can use a popsicle stick. I have a metal stir stick that a friend of mine at work gave me. Shout out to Katie, you're the best. She gave me one of these to try. Awesome, because when you're done, you just wipe it off. You don't have to throw it away every time. So I really like that, but you can use just a popsicle stick to stir it up. And if you're filling one of these really full, or like how we're gonna put some glitter in our epoxy, I have a second little 2-ounce portion cup. So I'm gonna leave some in here plain to put on the cute phone grip, and then I'm going to mix glitter into my epoxy in this cup, and then that's what we're going to cover this surface with. I have 2 different cups. Let's see, what else do I have with me tonight? I have some baby wipes. Baby wipes are absolutely essential to working with epoxy. Epoxy is sticky and gross. Even though it does wonderful things, it is still sticky and gross. So baby wipes are one of the best things to get off epoxy. If you were to get it like on your fingers or onto your surface like your table, baby wipes are going to clean it up right away. So that's always good. And that's another tip, is don't let it dry, of course. If it spills on something, clean it up as fast as you can. Not that it's going to dry in seconds, but don't let it set overnight, because if you do, it's not coming off. Ask my husband, there is definitely a few drips of epoxy on our spare dresser in the other room where I usually turn my cups, because I'm not perfect and I've definitely spilled it. So if you see it, don't let it set, clean it up with baby wipes. I've also heard of people putting like silicone mats underneath their turners where they're working, and that's from some newspaper, because that's what I happen to have in my craft room. So that's what I'm using tonight to get started. Oh, and I have a couple other. So I really like these really cheap, really easy paintbrushes that I think I got this pack from Walmart, I want to say, and it was like $3.97 maybe for all these little super thin brushes. These are what I use when I put epoxy. It's really good for getting in like the nooks and crannies. You have a lot of thin lines and stuff that you need to get the epoxy on, and you want to try not to let it spill over the side. So these brushes are really easy for that. They have lots of good control because their tips are small. So I like these. I wanted to show that to you guys. And then of course I have my glitter. So I picked a color, this one from a local vinyl shop. So here's one choice. It's kind of bluish color, but when it gets in the light, it turns this pretty green. So that's one choice for our glitter phone grip. Another one is one of my all-time favorites. This is Neverland from Yaya's glitter. It is mostly purple, but it has this green sheen to it when you put it in the light, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I put it on a wine tumbler last weekend that I haven't quite finished yet. Seriously, guys, it is so gorgeous. So these are our first 2 choices. This is Oceanside and Neverland. And then last but not least, I just have like a basic pink. This is called Ballet Slipper from Mama Boss Glitter. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what glitter you want to see on my phone grip. And I'm going to get started showing you guys how to mix up your epoxy. So if you guys are just now joining me, welcome. Thanks for coming to hang out. We are going to be using Pro-Marine epoxy this evening on our phone grips. I have not used Pro-Marine epoxy before, but I have heard amazing things about it. You vote for Neverland? Yes, me too, me too. Let me know if you guys agree with Rachel. Neverland or Oceanside or Ballet Slipper are your choices. Your Oceanside, oh no, somebody help us break our tie. The colors are all so pretty, so there's definitely plenty to go around, no doubt. We are going to try out Pro Marine Epoxy tonight. I typically use Alumilite on my tumblers and my acrylics, but I've heard amazing things about Pro Marine, so I wanted to give it a try. The feedback that I've heard on it is that although it is great, it definitely has a stronger smell, and I don't tend to be sensitive to things around me like epoxy. I've never noticed a reaction with Alumilite before. I've also tried faux Rizzle epoxy, and in my opinion, guys, I'm just going to be honest with you, I thought it was awful. Maybe you've had good experience with it, and that's awesome. But I have found that whether I use fine glitter, chunky glitter, it just fisheyes really bad, and it doesn't want to seem to it doesn't want to seem to cover the glitter very well. So that's not the UV faux Rizzle epoxy. That's just the regular faux Rizzle epoxy. I was not impressed. So those are the only two that I've tried. So we're going to add this one tonight, and I'll let you guys know how I like it. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to tip my camera down a little bit so that you guys can see a little bit better. So far we have one vote for Oceanside. That's this blue kind of green color. And then we also have a vote for Neverland, guys. So you got to help me break the tie. Let me know what you think. There's also a third, actually, yeah, there's a third option too if you want to mix things up really bad, and then we'll have to have another tiebreaker. This is Ballet Slipper. So it's just like a basic metallic pink from Glitter by Mama Boss. So put in the comments what you guys want to see on my phone grip, and I'll show you guys how to mix this up. All right. So I'm going to start with my little medicine cup, and the way that you mix epoxy is just a 1-to-1 ratio, which means that you put the same amount, the same amount of part A as part B. So since we're doing phone grips, we're probably not going to need very much, but we are going to do 2. And I am one that I always mix up extra epoxy because that's just how I am. I don't want to have to mix it up more than once. So let's do maybe 5 mils of each. So I use like you guys are not gonna be able to see that, but I use the milliliters measurement because of my science degree. That's what I'm most familiar with. But this little cup also labels cc's. So if you are like in the medical field or a nurse or something, you might be more comfortable with that. So I am just gonna put 5 milliliters of part A and 5 milliliters of part B before I mix it up. The amount of epoxy is always kind of variable. It depends on what you're doing, what coat you are on your tumbler. Some glitter kind of drinks up epoxy and you need a little bit more. Some just smooths right over. So you never know what you're going to need exactly, but I'm just going to take a guess at 5 each. That should be more than enough for the small surface that we're doing. So I usually like to start with the thinner part, which is usually part B, just because it's a little bit easier to pour. But I'm going to have to be really careful when I pour it out of this big bottle because I want to make sure that I don't pour too much into my cup. It's a little bit easier if you guys have like I forget what those bottles are called, like the ketchup and mustard bottles. Some people will pour their epoxy into those so they're easier to measure. But we're just going to be nice and careful. I like to hold mine up to the light so that I can see my measurements really well. So sorry guys if you guys can't see that, but I'm going to pour 5 milliliters of epoxy in there. Uh-oh, I just need oh no, that's perfect. Okay. So we have 5 milliliters. The reason that it's so important to mix on a 1-to-1 ratio is that you want to make sure that your epoxy dries well. And if you have an uneven ratio, it's not going to be good. Oh, it took you forever to learn how to comment. You vote for Neverland. Okay, Neverland it is, you guys. Thanks for joining me, Katie. I'm so glad you're here. I was just giving you a shout out because I'm using your metal stir stick that you gave me. And I'm trying Pro Marine for the first time. So as I was saying, guys, you want to make sure that you use a 1-to-1 ratio with epoxy because if your epoxy ratio is uneven, you can end up with an epoxy that never gets fully dry. It just it dries, but it stays tacky basically forever. So that's why you want to make sure that you're as close as you can on the 1-to-1 ratio. I'm a little more sciencey about it. That's why I like to use measuring cups and stuff like that. I know Savannah Tidwell, she likes to do oral syringes from your local pharmacy, which, they give out with like cough medicine and stuff. She prefers to use those to measure her epoxy. So there's lots of good ways. You're watching with your 11-year-old daughter. Hi. Hi, Gina's daughter. And hi, Gina. Thanks for joining me. So I've got part B in my medicine cup already, and I had 5 milliliters of that. And Karen, you vote for Neverland too. See, it's like it wins by a landslide every time because it's so pretty. If I have time at the end, I'll run and grab my tumbler, you guys. It is so gorgeous. Like, I'm so excited to use it. So I've got 5 milliliters of part B in my cup already, and I'm just going to add 5 milliliters of part A. Part A moves much, much, much slower. So I also want to be careful about how fast I pour this. That way I don't pour too much. So let's cut it off and see where we're at. Oh no, okay. I need plenty more than that. I'm going to try to keep this over my newspaper so I don't spill it everywhere. It's best, I've found, to just go nice and slow until you get the results you're hoping for. Okay, perfect. So, can you guys hear me okay? I didn't ask anyone to check on that, but let me know that you can hear me okay and my sound quality is good. I want to make sure that you're enjoying my tutorial and not struggling to hear me. All right, so I've got 10 milliliters total of epoxy in my medicine cup, and I'm going to stir it up a little bit in this cup. Okay, good. Thank you guys. I'm so glad that you can hear me. So I'm going to start out mixing up in my medicine cup, and then I'll transfer the glitter that I want over to the other cup after it's all mixed up to make sure that my ratio stays even. So when you're doing, when you're mixing up epoxy, you want to make sure to mix like not super duper slow, but you don't want to go super fast either, because going super fast when you mix can introduce a lot of extra air bubbles. You're going to have air bubbles anyway, but that will just introduce extra. So as you guys can see, as I've started to mix it, it starts out super cloudy. And as you mix it, you'll know when it's ready because it's going to go from cloudy to a little bit more clear. So I'll try to hold it up as long as I can, as long as my arms will let me. And I'll see if we can watch it turn to clear. It depends. I usually mix for, I don't know, maybe a minute or two. I never really time it. I just go by the way my epoxy looks. So it's still good and cloudy. I don't know if I'll show you guys just so you can see what that looks like. Can you tell? It's like a little bit cloudy, but not crazy cloudy. You can still see through it. And it's going to kind of look cloudy on camera probably either way. But when it gets clear, I'll be able to lift it up on my little stir stick and it'll look really good. So there it goes. It looks pretty clear to me. So no, we still got a little ways to go. It kind of looks a little bit different from the side than it does from the top. Want to make sure that we mix it really, really well. So I'm going to hold it down here, you guys. I'm sorry. That way I can see it a little bit better. And so far, I mean, I'm not going to sniff it because, like, again, it's a chemical. But so far, I don't smell anything, which is good. So hopefully that means I won't be too sensitive to it. A lot of people, when they try epoxy for the first time, they don't necessarily know that they're sensitive. They find out when they open it up and it gives them a headache. Or like if you're sensitive with migraines and stuff like that, this can be something that can trigger those. So you just always want to make sure that careful. Thanks for letting me know. I'm glad you can hear me. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. We've got some air bubbles. I'll try to show you guys from the side. We've still got lots of air bubbles, but when I hold my epoxy up like this on my stir stick, it doesn't look cloudy on my stick. So that's how I know that it's pretty much ready to go. And I'm not going to get too technical with it, but when I do tumblers, I usually do heat up my epoxy with a heat gun a little bit. And another tip that has helped me so far with Alumilite is whenever I am turning a tumbler, I always make sure to put a space heater in my room. And I always do it behind a shut door. So I have a cat. You'll notice his litter box behind me. He is wonderful. His name is, and he's like the best cat on the planet. But he is also the most curious cat on the planet, which is why I can't turn my cups in here because I can't keep the door shut while it's turning. Because I just picture Penguin seeing it turning, getting curious and going up and touching it with his paw and then licking his paw and hurting himself. So I always keep it behind a closed door so that nothing can disturb it or anything like that, and nobody's around the fumes as it's drying. But then I also use a space heater turned on usually like medium heat, and that way the room stays nice and warm because epoxy likes it warm. That's its preference. I want to say like I'd say like around 70, 72 degrees. And my house always stays kind of cold. We usually keep it, at least in the winter, we keep it at like 68. So that's a little bit on the colder side for epoxy. But anyway, so our epoxy is well mixed up. So now I'm going to separate my epoxy out just a little bit. I'm going to leave a little bit in my cup. You know what? I got to turn you guys down a little so you can see me. I'm going to get rid of one glove. I also always keep a third glove with me when I am using epoxy because it never fails. I have epoxy all over my hands and then I have to get something or go do something or touch something that doesn't need epoxy on it. So I always keep a third glove with me. That's a little far. Let's try the table here. Sorry guys, bear with me just a second while I get you situated. There we go. That should be pretty decent for you. Give you a pretty good view of what I'm doing. Okay, so I have this one glove that I'm going to throw in the trash because it's already a little sticky. And I'm going to put my other one on. So I'm going to keep a little bit of epoxy in this medicine cup that I'm not going to mix glitter in for the monogram phone grip, but I'm going to put the majority of it in this cup so that we can mix glitter into it. On the monogrammed phone grip, we're just going to put a really thin layer over the top. We're not really looking to do much because the surface is already smooth, so I'm not too worried about it. So I'm literally just going to leave like this much in my cup. Epoxy really does go a long way. You don't have to worry about making too much because this is more than going to cover our phone grip. And that was only 10 milliliters. And these bottles of Pro Marine are huge. So I'm definitely not concerned about, you know, using it up too fast. And I don't do like a ton of epoxy. I don't sell cups or anything like that. I just do them for fun. So I don't go through epoxy too fast. All right, so this is Neverland. This is what you guys voted for to put on my phone grip. So I'm going to add some glitter, and I want to add glitter, enough glitter that it is really dense in the epoxy, but not so much glitter that it starts to change the texture of the epoxy. You don't want to oversaturate it with glitter. So I just like to go a little at a time, and I'll stir it up to kind of check the texture. So I'm stirring it in and it still like looks really thin. You can see that there's a lot of unsaturated epoxy. So I'm going to add a little bit more. Because remember, you can always add more, but of course you can't take any away. So you want to make sure that you are being careful with that because once you oversaturate it, you're kind of stuck with it. All right, so that's looking a little bit better. We've got some, whoops, you guys can't see that too well. So we've got, you know, it's pretty saturated. I'm going to add just a little bit more only because I did not paint my phone grip first. So we want to make sure we have great coverage with this glitter. This glitter was awesome, you guys. I did a wine tumbler with it last weekend, and I only had to do, well, I had to do 2 coats because of the Mod Podge that I use. That's the method that I used to cover it, but the coverage was beautiful. So definitely was no fault of the glitter. I highly, highly recommend this Neverland from Yaya's. It is gorgeous. Okay, so my epoxy is pretty saturated with glitter. So now I'm just going to slowly apply it to my phone grip. So here's my phone grip. I guess I'm going to leave it flat. But the goal when you're doing this is to try, of course, to get the epoxy on there good and even, but you don't want to let it go over the sides if you can help it. So I'm going to use one of these little tiny paint brushes that I showed you guys earlier. I got these in a big pack from Walmart for like $3.97. These are the perfect tool for putting epoxy on stuff, but without, that way you can get into all the nooks and crannies, but with still having a lot of control. So I'm going to start, oh gosh, and this is going to be way too much epoxy. So I'm going to start really, really slow and just add some in from my cup. Just nice and slow. So if you're just now joining me, welcome. Thanks for coming to hang out in my craft room. I'm Alex Vanover, and you're watching Divine Design Crafts. And if you enjoy this video, make sure you let me know by pressing the like button. And if you want to hang out more often, you are more than welcome to subscribe. But if you're just here to hang out and watch, I totally understand that too. So I've kind of got it spread around the middle. The sides are the trickiest part. So I'm going to take some of my glitter epoxy and I'm just going to get it on my paintbrush and kind of start to dab around the edges. I want to get right up to the edge, but I don't want to go over the edge if I can help it. So I'm just going to go slowly and carefully. And you can always go back and get a little closer to the edge. So sometimes I like to kind of dance around the edge and then come back and go right up to the edge. This project is a great way to use like any of those little promotion items that you get sometimes when you go to events and they give you like all this random stuff that you don't really want or you don't really want to use. Like I don't really want to brand my phone with this random company that I don't know. So this is a really fun way to like utilize this stuff without, you don't want to throw it away, but I also didn't pay for these. So if I mess it up, no big deal. And I also have a second one. I think I might paint that one, and I think I'm going to put alcohol ink on it for my husband and turn it into like a wood grain phone grip for him. That's my plan, but we'll see if it works. So I'm just getting a little closer to those edges. Since the base is not painted white, it is going to mean that I'm going to need a little more epoxy all over to make sure that you can't see too much underneath the epoxy. That's okay with me. This is just a fun little experiment. If you are on my Facebook page, my Facebook followers voted for phone grips. I was between a phone grip or that. Oh yeah, wood grain phone grip. Thanks. I thought that was a great idea too. My husband said as long as it's not too girly, he would use it. So that was the only thing I could come up with. A way that I could craft it and not make it girly. So my Facebook followers chose the phone grip over I also was going to either put HTV on either a beach towel or an umbrella were our choices, or a phone grip, and they chose phone grip. So that's why I decided to try it. You're getting your first Yaya order. You can't wait. Oh, yes, Michelle. Thanks for joining me. I know, like, Yaya's is so gorgeous. I love Glitter by Mama Boss. I love Yaya's glitter. I like lots of glitter companies. Those are my two favorites. But I also, gosh, I've ordered from the Glitter Guy, and he's good. And Mr. Nola's, he's good too. There's lots of good glitter out there. And the difference between this glitter and other types like of glitter that you get at the craft store is that it is made of polyester, which means it's a little bit of a higher quality glitter than just craft glitter. Craft glitter is also often made of like mica or something like that. So it's just a little bit of a cheaper product, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Yes, Katie, I know you love Yaya's. They're like so great. It's not a bad thing to use craft glitter, especially if you already have it. You're just going to get thicker coverage and you're going to have to use less when you use polyester glitter. So that's my main advice to you is if that really good coverage is important to you, I would suggest investing in polyester glitter. But if you just already have some glitter and you just want to use it and make a project out of it, this is a great way to do that. So I would say total, I probably added maybe a teaspoon or so of glitter into my epoxy. The main thing that you want to watch for when you're mixing it in is texture. I do not custom mix my own glitters. No, I am not that awesome yet. Maybe when I get some more mixes, that is something that I will do. But as of right now, I just buy my mixes from people. But chunkies are gorgeous when you mix them with some of your favorite finds. So I definitely recommend it. My friend Kayla and I were doing it. We were crafting last weekend and we were talking about making our own mixes, so it's definitely something you can do. Michelle's so sweet. She says, yes, I am that awesome. Well, maybe one day we'll get there. But for now, I'm just buying other people's beautiful glitter. I mean, why would I mix anything? Like, look how gorgeous that is. So in person, it's a lot more purple, but it turns like green in the light. It's so neat. Okay, so I didn't get all the way to the edges, so there's a little bit of blue showing around the outside, but I'm actually pretty happy with it. So let me get the camera a little closer, and I'll show you guys what this looks like before we move on to the monogrammed one. So the coverage is pretty decent. It's still really, really thick right now, so of course I can't touch it. And you can see some blue around the edges, but I actually don't mind it too much. I'm cool with the way it looks, and I like it, so I'm going to stop there. That's one of my lessons that I've learned from epoxy is when you like it, don't keep picking at it, just stop. When it's good, just let it be good. Don't keep going. Thank you, thank you. I think it's beautiful too. So I'm going to get the camera a little closer, and I want you guys to look at these edges. They certainly are not perfect, but that's what makes these a little bit hard, but that's what's so great about this little paintbrush is that I was able to dab the epoxy right to the very edge of the phone grip, but not go over the side. And if it does go over the side, I will use sandpaper to clean my edges up. So hopefully while it's drying, it will stay in good shape. But if not, I've got a plan. It happens all the time with my acrylics, so no big deal. The epoxy I'm using tonight, Michelle, is Pro Marine. Typically, I am using Alumilite. That's what I'm used to using. But I decided to try Pro Marine because I've heard so many good things about it. But the one caution that I have heard and other people have talked about is that Pro Marine does have a bit of a stronger smell. So if you are subject to migraines or having sensitivities to things like this, you may want to try something less smelly like Alumilite. All right, so I'm happy with the way this looks, but I also, before we move on, we'll do something else. So I also have like all of this leftover epoxy. So I have something really fun that I love to do with my leftover epoxy. Give me just a second. I'm going to take my microphone off and go grab my epoxy molds, and I'll show you guys how to use those. All right, guys, I'm back. And so we're going to try to utilize our extra epoxy by putting them in epoxy molds. And I have a few different types of molds. So I didn't plan on showing this to you guys, but I'll show it to you now because they're awesome. So one of the things that is newer to me that I have done is ordered these silicone custom molds from Etsy. These are little tiny pineapples. These are little penguins because, of course, my cat is named after a penguin and I'm obsessed with penguins. And these are little mermaid scale earrings. I don't know if you guys can see the texture inside of the circle, but it's got a little mermaid texture to it. So I have not been successful with these yet. I've tried them before, but I've never been able to get them right. So maybe we'll try a pair of these mermaid earrings to see if we can try it again. Basically what you do with these is you put your extra epoxy in them, you let it harden, and then you pop them out and put earring backs on the back of them and turn them into a pair of custom earrings. So these other molds are just molds that I bought from Michael's. They are little chocolate molds. These are little penguins, again, because I'm obsessed. So I have tons of penguins on my desk at work. That's one of my favorites to use. I also have these little cool little gems that are super fun to put in to put epoxy in because they make like a little jewel for when you're done. So you don't really do much with these kinds of molds. They're just fun to look at and cute. So I don't know, they're just fun, I think. And I feel better about using more of my epoxy. I hate to waste it because it is kind of pricey. So I like to put it in something. This is my newest one. This is like my fruit salad mold. I haven't used that yet. So if we have some left over, I'll put some in there too. So let's stick some epoxy in there and then we'll move on to our monogram phone grip. I'm going to grab another piece of newspaper and I'm going to move my phone grip out of the way. That way it doesn't get bumped. We risk messing it up. All right, so give me just a moment, guys. I'm going to take my microphone off and move my phone grip out of the way. All right, guys, sorry about that. We'll move on to putting some epoxy into these fun little molds, and we'll see what pretty little things we can make. So as I was telling you guys before, I have not been successful yet with this little earring mold, but I'm willing to try again. In fact, I think the last thing I tried to put in here actually was Neverland. It looks like it's the same color. For whatever reason, my epoxy just stayed sticky, but I think I was actually trying faux Rizzle when I used these molds, and that might have been why. I just did not have a good experience with the regular faux Rizzle epoxy. So I'm not a professional on the technique for these little custom earring molds yet, but what I do know to do is take my paintbrush and paint the inside of this mold to kind of coat it with epoxy first, and then I will add more so that I can fill in the tiny little mold. So as you guys can see, it's like they're super small, and then I have little posts that I will put on the back of this if they harden correctly to make them into little mermaid earrings. So it'll turn out super cute. So I just like to dab a little bit at a time because the goal is to also get them in here and to let them be, to make the backs flat. You can always sand the back if it's not perfectly flat, but that is totally okay. So I just try to do it from the very beginning and make the back flat when it sits in the mold. So I've still got a ways to go to fill it in a little. I'm sorry, that's kind of blurry for you guys, but you can probably get the idea. So while I'm filling these in, let me know if you guys have any questions about epoxy. If you've never used it before, I know it can be kind of intimidating. I was super intimidated to try it, but now that I understand it, is definitely not nearly as scary as I thought it would be. So hopefully that's good news for you. I am definitely the crafter. I want to be good at everything the moment that I try it. And that's what I love about crafting, is it kind of gets me over that fear, allows me to try some new things and be okay with it if I'm not good the first time. So let me know if you have any beginner epoxy questions. So far, Pro Marine has been pretty easy to use. Of course, the final test will be when everything dries tomorrow morning. We'll see how much I like it. But so far, I don't smell anything. But I don't have a super strong nose for stuff like that, so I can't say that, you know, I'm sensitive to those things, typically. But you never know. Another way that you can help yourself out, of course, is to just be careful about how close you're putting it to your face. It's really easy when these things are so small to, like, you know, be right up in them. But if you can kind of refrain from doing that, you'll help yourself out. So now these little molds are fairly full. So I'm going to set these off to the side and we'll see if they harden as cute little earrings. And usually I post my finished projects on Instagram. So if you guys are on Instagram, make sure you check me out. My Instagram handle is Divine Design Crafts. And I have the same little logo on my YouTube picture as I do on Instagram. So you can see the final projects there. So I'm going to try out a pineapple. I haven't put any epoxy into this mold yet, but I love pineapples and I don't care that it's purple. I'm going to make a pineapple anyway. So all you do for these is it's super simple. You literally just pour it in here and let it harden, and it turns into a super cute little, I don't know what you would call it, like just a little thing. You were having your husband build a turner in an attempt to some epoxy. You've been out of town. Oh no, I couldn't see the whole thing. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm glad you think they're going to be adorable. I think your name was Mackenzie. If you could finish your comment, I'm sorry. It disappeared off the screen before, but I know you said you were in the process of building a turner so you can try epoxy. That's awesome. I have a homemade built turner too. I bought mine off of Etsy. Is it correct that if the molds are shiny, your end project will be too? Yes, it is. So that is the ideal thing, is that your molds would be shiny. If they are not, I've heard a couple different ways for overcoming that. You can either paint the inside of them first with clear nail polish, or you can paint them with clear nail polish when you're done. So you can still overcome that. But yes, that is a good point, Michelle. Thank you for bringing that up. You would ideally want your molds to be shiny in the first place, because then your epoxy will appear really shiny. If they are dull, they will be on the duller side when they're done. But like I said, you can fix that, so no big deal. And these chocolate molds were like $5. You've been out of town for a couple weeks, so you're not sure how much progress has been made on the turner. I totally understand. So I brought my turner home from the Crazy Crafters convention in October, and that's where I bought it. And my husband said he was going to make me a turner because he had some better designs in mind. It is currently April, and my husband is wonderful and amazing, but I'm still using the same turner. So I totally understand where you're coming from. To be fair, my husband has been super busy, so it's not as if he's been sitting around. But yes, I think that sometimes it's not always seen as a priority project, even though to us, of course, crafts are priority. They are always priority. Okay, so I'm not even going to fill up the whole pineapple. It looks like I'm a little bit short on my mold, but that's totally okay. That's what's so much fun about these. They're so cheap, and if worse comes to worse, you throw them away. You didn't waste anything because you took your waste and made it into something pretty. So I always think it's a good idea. So I'm going to set this mold aside also. We're going to kind of change gears here to my other really super cute little phone grip. I don't have too much on my hands, so I'll go ahead and keep using it. Keep using these gloves. But if you do get a bunch on your hands, you probably just want to go ahead and change your gloves. Next, I have this really cute phone grip that I bought at a local blanks shop here in Louisville, Kentucky. That's where I live. And so I don't want to change the background of this, but I have also tried to monogram these before, and they just usually don't hold up. Our phones get so much use and abuse that the monograms and the vinyl are so thin that they just don't hold up. So I'm going to monogram this with vinyl, and then we're just going to paint a super thin layer of epoxy over the top just to keep things, just to make things a little bit more durable. So I've already cut this out of vinyl. It's just a little circle monogram that I made out of some scrap. I also think that if you're going to try to do this, I think that monogramming your phone grips is super cute, but I would also caution you from using even still super thin lines. You're going to epoxy over top of it, so if you're going to use those thin lines, it is a little bit better, but I prefer like these thicker, little more like, I don't know, bold, I guess you would say, monograms, just because I think it's easier to see on the phone grip, and the thicker the lines that you have, the longer your vinyl is going to last in your phone grip. So that's my advice to you, because I've tried it with the super thin ones, and it can be done, but I just think that this is going to turn out a lot better, and then our epoxy is going to make it even more durable. So definitely can't lose. Where is my squeegee? There it is. So I'm just going to squeegee over my vinyl here without getting epoxy on it, I hope. Oh, ladies, if any of you guys are married and you're getting ready to bring glitter into your home, get ready for your husbands to hate it. Unless your husband is just some kind of crazy saint, he's probably going to hate your glitter. So I hate to break it to you, but that's just the way that it is. I've been facing that ever since I brought my turner home. My husband is happy to support my crafting. He loves that I do it, but he just like absolutely hates glitter. And he tells everybody that at any opportunity. So if that happens to you, ladies, I'm here for you. I understand. I'm with you. Okay, so I've got my decal weeded, and I'm just going to try to center it the best that I can on my phone grip. I left plenty of room around the edges because I really like this shell pattern, and I want to make sure that it is still visible even through my vinyl. So you could make yours bigger if you wanted. But I like mine just like this. So centered the best that I can. I'm just going to burnish it a little bit with my fingers and pull my transfer tape off. If you guys like the topic of this video, if you will click the like button for me, I would really appreciate it. That tells me that you like it. Your glitter would show up for sale on eBay. Yes, Melissa, I am with you. I'm with you. Luckily, Andrew is like, he is awesome and he loves that I do this and he knows how much I love it. But I think if I left for an extended period of time, that probably would totally happen. He would not be upset to sell it on eBay. All right, so it's not standing out like a whole ton just because this has some teal in it and this has some teal in it, so no big deal. You have two girls, so he's already been broken. Well, good for you, Mackenzie. This won't be as big of a break to him then. My husband is an only child, so he doesn't have any sisters or anything. So poor soul. He is so supportive and loving, but he just has to deal with a lot of glitter because it's just who I am. I can't help it. It's a part of me. So the contrast is not crazy high with this, but I'm okay with it. I probably could have done white or something like that to make it stand out a little more, but I'm good with it. I'm rolling with it. That was a little scrap of vinyl that I had, and I thought it matched well. So we're going to give it a shot. My gloves always go back on when I get to my epoxy. I never ever do epoxy without gloves. I bought my gloves in a 100 pack of like, whatever you call these, latex work gloves at Harbor Freight for like $8 or $9. So it's totally worth the investment. I was buying tons and tons of small packs of gloves from Home Depot and Lowe's. And then I finally just bought the 100 pack and it's been so much easier. So I'm going to use a new brush. I never wash these little brushes because they're so cheap. To me, that's worth my time, so I just go buy more. So I'm going to use this little tiny brush that I got from Walmart to put my epoxy onto my phone grip. But this time I'm using my just clear epoxy. There's no glitter mixed into it because all I'm trying to do is seal the surface to allow my monogram decal to not fall off. Because as I was saying, with some things like coffee tumblers and stuff like that, you can probably get away without sealing. I have made tons and tons of coffee tumblers and they have stuck just fine without any epoxy. But our phones get so much use and abuse getting thrown in purses and things like that that you almost have to seal with epoxy, in my opinion, if you really want it to stay. I've tried it before and it just did not work for me at all. I want to get you guys a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just putting a super thin layer on, hardly any at all, but just enough to cover my vinyl and get to those edges. But it is a little tricky when you're painting with clear epoxy because it's a little hard to see. But I'm going to get around the edges just the best I can. And it's always good to have, the thing that helps me the most with epoxy is like really bright light. I like to have really bright lights wherever I'm working with it because even though it's clear, I can hold it up to the bright light and it helps me see. So also, oh gosh, I had another tip for you guys. I just completely forgot what I was going to say. So never mind. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So another cool thing about epoxy that makes it really easy to work with is that it's always self-leveling. So if you leave it on a level surface while it's drying, it's going to level itself out. So you don't have to worry too much about it being absolutely perfect because it's going to do a lot of the leveling work for you, which is so, so nice. I know you guys are a little crooked. I'm just trying to get you as close as I can. So I don't know if you guys can see that kind of clear sheen on the top. That's the epoxy, just super thin. I'm going to hold it up to the light a little bit, maybe a little bit, but I just want to see if I got everything okay. Because the thing you have to remember is now that the vinyl is raised a little bit above the surface of the phone grip, you got to make sure that the epoxy didn't try to not cover any bit of it. Sometimes it shies away from certain materials, like chunky glitter, it tends to do that with and stuff. So you just want to make sure there's no like gapping over top of your vinyl. So with this one, I'm getting as close to the edges as I can again, and try not to go over, but since this is clear, you'd barely be able to tell anyway. Let's see, it's so hard to tell in the light, but I think that's pretty good. It's a super thin layer, so it's just going to put a real plasticky, kind of shiny sheen over top of my phone grip, but it's not going to be overpowering, and to the untrained eye, you probably wouldn't even know there's epoxy over top of it. But that's going to definitely help it stay and have better longevity while I use and abuse my phone. I have one on top of my, attached to my LifeProof case too. I probably should do this too. I'm going to let this epoxy dry overnight. That's usually my favorite way to do it, just because that way you're not sitting there so excited waiting for it to dry, because I'm terrible for that. I do a project and then I want it to be done like yesterday. So I want to sit there and stare at it while it dries. I'm going to put this aside now because it's all done. I just want to sit there and watch it dry. But of course, like watching paint dry, you probably shouldn't do that. Super boring. So I like to do my epoxy late at night if I can help it. That way, when I get up in the morning, it is all ready to go. So super, super exciting. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, you guys. Let me know in the comments while I'm cleaning up a little bit. Let me know if you guys have any questions about epoxy, because I know that for those of you who have not started yet, it's probably super intimidating still. So let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm trying to get you guys even there. It's kind of hard to do with this tripod. Nope. Well, I'm trying to get you guys even. Let me know what questions you have or what you plan on putting epoxy on. Let's see. I can clean up a little bit. So I've got a little bit left here, but that's not enough to really worry about a mold or anything. Ooh, you know what? I lied. I'm going to put it in an earring mold. These earring molds are so fun, and they literally take like no epoxy. So it's super fun. We'll try this oceanside stuff. So look at that, you guys. Bonus project. And that's what's so fun is like the more no waste for me, the better. I love that. So I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of glitter in there. I don't know how much it's going to take. So I'm just going to go super slow with it. Mix it in. So my tip with glitter, is a pop socket the best project to start with, is Mackenzie's question. So I would say the two best projects to start with are probably a phone grip, or the brand is Pop Socket, but you're not supposed to say Pop Socket because they're really protective of their brand. So Pop Socket / phone grip is a great starter project. Another great starter project is acrylic blanks. So you can get those from 651vinyl.com. That's where I buy all of my materials if they're available there. And you can just put vinyl on it and you can epoxy over top. Or you can put glitter on top of it like I just did and then epoxy, or you can mix glitter into your epoxy. So that's the two projects that I would recommend, either phone grip or an acrylic blank. And then you can do lots of fun things with glitter, however you choose. Those are the two ways that I would recommend to get started. Cups are a lot of fun, but they are complex, you guys. Some people have told me that they're like super easy. And although I think that's awesome, I don't think that's true. I love cups, but I think there's a lot to them. There's a lot of technique to them that can make them a little frustrating if you jump straight in. So that's why I would recommend one of those starter projects. So look how pretty that oceanside made my glitter. So this will be fun. I'm going to pour these into my pineapple mold. So I'm just going to take my brush and kind of paint the inside of my mold a little bit to try to let the epoxy get all over it. You're welcome, Karen. Thanks for hanging out with me. You want to see the wine cup? Okay, give me just a second. Let me finish this and then I will go. It's in the other room, but I will run and grab it. It's looking a little rough, you guys. I'm a little worried about her. She's going to be complicated because I use this beautiful chunky glitter on the bottom and it is so gorgeous, but like the epoxy absolutely hated it. So it's probably going to be a 3-layer epoxy kind of cup, but when it's worth it, you guys. I'm totally willing to put the work in if I can make something really, really pretty. Let me just finish having. So if you guys can see, it's like almost even with the top. So I'm just trying to get it as close as I can. Whoops, without going over. I can always sand it down if it gets like bubbled up a little bit, but that can be kind of difficult. So if you can get it even from the first place, that's a lot easier. So I'm going to start this other one. The thing that I found that was a little complex about this one is the little teeny tiny pineapple leaves. They're a little hard to get epoxy down into. So you guys probably don't know this about me. Fun fact, my husband and I, we've only been married a little less than 2 years, but when we went on our honeymoon, we went to Hawaii And the 4 Hawaiian pineapples that we were able to bring home from Maui Gold, we planted all 4 crowns, and so they are still growing into pineapples. Did you guys know that pineapples take like 2 years to grow? And so they're still growing. They're in my kitchen. There are 4 of them, and they are in 5-gallon buckets. They are enormous. Like the biggest one is literally like probably higher than my waist. So that's why pineapples have kind of become like a little bit fun and sentimental to me. My husband loves and cares for the pineapples very diligently. They don't take a lot of work, but the thing is that they can't get colder than 50 degrees. So whenever the overnight low starts becoming less than 50, they get to come inside, and they're huge. So it's been a fun journey, but I am ready for our pineapples to grow and produce little baby pineapples. And you guys, if they don't create pineapples on our 2nd anniversary, I'm going to be devastated. I don't know what I'm going to do. If we grew those things for 2 years for nothing, I'm going to be real upset. Let's just put it that way. And my husband always jokes. He's like, do you want to grow this pineapple after we throw, because you just plant like the crown, the top of the pineapple to get it to grow. And he's like, do you want to plant this? I'm like, yeah, no, I don't have another 2 years for that. Okay, so this mold's looking pretty good. It's pretty even with the back of the mold. So I'm gonna let it go and see how it goes. And I'm gonna go grab my wine cup with Neverland. So give me just a moment. I'm gonna have to take my microphone off, but I will be right back. And if you guys are finished hanging out for the evening, thank you so much for joining me. My name's Alex Vanover, and I'm with Divine Design Crafts. And if you enjoyed hanging out, make sure that you subscribe. But if you're just here to hang out, that's okay too. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Let me know that you like the topics like this. I've been trying to do a little bit more unique crafts, just kind of different, because we see the same things in Facebook groups all day long, and those are good things too. But I try to do things that are a little bit off the cuff, a little bit more unique for you guys, to try to show you some of the cool things you can do. So I'll be right back, and you guys get ready for like the most gorgeous color scheme you've ever seen. Hold on. Also, Penguin might wander in, so you might get to see a glimpse of my kitty named Penguin. All right, you guys, I'm back. I don't think Penguin was able to sneak in here. He loves to come in and see what I'm up to, and then he pretty much leaves again. He never stays for long. Okay, so are you ready? You want to say that you want my job. I know, Rachel. So if you guys don't know, I do work full-time for 651 Vinyl. I'm the marketing and social media manager, which means that my main responsibility is to hang out in the 651 Vinyl Facebook group and answer your questions, which is like, literally, you guys, it's the best job ever. We have so much fun, and even though like my job is still a job, I have to go to the warehouse every day, from like, I get there anytime between like 8 and 9, but usually like 9 to 5:30 or 6. And I love my job. In addition to social media, I do all kinds of other things too. I work like, so if you guys get emails about our sales and things like that, I send those out. I help Troy with a lot of projects here and there. I help pick out what products are coming in next. Sarah Traub is awesome. She is our product sourcer. She is the one who brings things in, but she and Heather and I get to review the samples with Troy and kind of figure out what's next for 651 Vinyl. So my job is thebomb.com. I can't even lie about it. But thank you, Rachel. I love it. And I'm just like incredibly blessed. I did not even know when I moved here 2 years ago that 651 Vinyl existed here. I didn't know that that's where it was located. I'll finish my story in a second, but here's my cup. So this is Neverland on the top, and this is, oh no, it's over here. It's Mr. Nola's Decatur, I think, is what's on the bottom. Like, you guys, isn't that not the prettiest cup you've like ever seen in your life? Holy moly. So you can see my lines. It's a little darker. I use the Mod Podge method to apply my glitter, and you can see my lines a little bit on this. Thank you, Rachel. Yes, I love it, love it, love it. You can see my lines a little bit because I use the Mod Podge method. I like that method because I think you have a lot of control over where your glitter is going and it doesn't dry too fast. So that's why I like to use Mod Podge, because if you use things like Loctite or, you know, just like an adhesive spray, you have to apply really fast. So I like being able to go slow with that. Thank you, Mackenzie. I know, like seriously, you guys to die for. But like when you look at the side, thanks, Katie. I know you've seen it in person. I bring these things to work because a lot of us at the warehouse do these cups. So we bring in our beauties to show everybody. So if you guys can tell from the side, I have like some wild like rogue glitter parts sticking up, and like the bottom is super duper lumpy. So I definitely have some sanding to do. And of course this has been done a week and I have not even sanded it. But it's probably going to take 3 coats of epoxy, but like for this sucker, oh, she's worth it. I'll do it anyways. So that's Neverland on the top from Yaya's. And I think this is Decatur from Mr. Nola's. I'm pretty sure. I'll let you guys know in the description if you really want to know. But I just love this color scheme. One of my best friends, Kayla, was in town last weekend and she had never done glitter cups before. So I taught her glitter cups and she taught me screen printing. So if you guys haven't seen that video last weekend, go check that out. It's the how to screen print live video on my channel. It was so much fun. And you guys, screen printing is really cool. I did not know anything about it. She told me about it and she told me she loved it. So I told her I wanted to learn. So we each got to do that. So I was telling you guys something about my job. I don't remember what it was. Oh, Louisville. So I did not know that 651 Vinyl was in Louisville, Kentucky. So when I started shopping there, my friend Kayla, who was here last weekend, is the one who told me about 651 Vinyl. So I ordered from them and I lived in Cincinnati at the time. And I have loved, like I've been shopping with these guys since they were just a few months old, which is pretty cool. I didn't know that at the time, but I've always ordered from 651. I've never ordered from anybody else because Kayla told me about them right away. So when I found out I was moving here, my husband and I dated long distance. So when we got married, we had to find a city somewhere in between our families that we wanted to move. So thank you, Karen. I know, I just absolutely love it. So we didn't know where we were going to go until like 3 months before our wedding. And when I found out I was moving here, for whatever reason, I just decided to look up where 651 Vinyl was. And it happened to be in Louisville. And I was like, holy crap, that's so cool. Like, I can't wait to go and pick up my orders myself. So I started picking them up. And then the way that I met Troy is I actually went to a Crazy Crafters Craftathon. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen Savannah Tidwell in the 651 Vinyl Facebook group. She runs Crazy Crafters and I had heard about it through 651. So I decided to sign up and go because I didn't know anybody here yet. I'd only been here a few months and that's where I met Troy in person. And I was in the market for a job and he was in the market for somebody in marketing. So that's how I got my job at 651 Vinyl, and it is the best job ever. I feel blessed every single day that I get to go work with wonderful people like Katie. She works with me, and Michelle, who is here, who is commenting as 10 Dime Design. They both work with me. Like, I'm just blessed with the best work family, the best coworkers, and like basically the best job ever. So thanks, Rachel. I hope you wanted to hear that story because I always have to tell it because it's just awesome. Like, I could not plan that out if I tried. That was totally like a God move for sure, because I could not have written that story myself if I even tried. So that's my story. Before you guys go, some of these little gems, I forgot I'd stuck some of these in my Cutter Companion. Look how fun these are. So this is a little penguin. I only had like a little half a thing, but he's a little clear penguin. Thanks, Rachel. I'm glad you guys got to see. Hey, Katie's still watching. She's still hanging out. So these are my little gems that I make with my my little gem chocolate mold. These are so fun. So if you guys do epoxy, I definitely encourage you to grab a couple of these. They're like $5 a tray at Michael's, and they're so cheap, but they're just a fun little way to be able to reuse your epoxy, especially when it's so pretty with the glitter in it. You just don't want to throw it away. Like, that's so sad. So you're able to reuse it. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Again, my name's Alex Vanover with Divine Design Crafts, and I'm so glad we got to hang out on this fabulous Friday night. There's nothing I'd rather do on a Friday than craft with you guys. So over the next few weeks, I have a lot of life changes going on. I'm not ready to share it publicly just yet, but they're all good things, and in a few weeks, I'll be able to tell you about it. But for right now, I'm going to be doing a lot of live videos because life is pretty crazy. But I'm hoping to get back to some recorded and edited videos here very, very soon. So don't worry if you are a recorded and edited film person. I will be back to that. But head on over to the community tab of my channel. I have a survey there, or a little poll where you can tell me if you prefer live videos or pre-recorded and edited videos. So let me know over on the community tab what you think. I'm so glad we got to hang out, you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see